Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We got a new episode, solving one-step equations using addition and subtraction. That's this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your first video that's truly a 6th grade skill. This is also a super important skill. NWEA, you probably saw a bunch of them. I-STEP, you're going to see a bunch of them. Listen up, you're going to see a bunch of these everywhere. If you looked at your entry document, it includes a one-step equation. That one includes 2 variables. Listen, you got to have all this down. This is super important. We want to see your scores start raising up. We want you to get in those high math classes. So this is how you're going to do it. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right, first of all, you need graphic organizer number 1. All right, this is the new one. It's in a new box. It's a new unit, so I'm starting to put them in there. You need to grab this one. You need to pause the video. You need to go get it right now. All right. At the top of that graphic organizer, we're going to start with a little bit of important information or important vocabulary. Here we go, okay? An equation is very simple. It's a math sentence that does contain an equal sign, okay? It contains an equal sign. So you need to have that. It contains an equal sign. Now, at the beginning of the year, we talked about expressions, and an expression did not include an equal sign. This was an expression, x plus 5, here at the top. That was an expression. But we can now make it into an equation. An equation would be something like x plus 5 equals 12. What's the difference? Well, the equation has an equal sign. The expression does not. So, just letting you know. All right, now, here's the deal. We're going to go ahead and continue. The goal of solving an equation is very simple. We want to know what the variable is. What's the value of it? Well, if you look up there in that one, we want to know what x is. All right, in our example up there, we want to know what x is. That's all we want to do. All right, how do we do this? Well, we're going to do this by isolating. And isolating means we want it by itself. And we're going to do that by isolating the variable on one side of the equation using what we call inverse operations. And you might want to write this down because this is super important because a lot of people forget what inverse operations are, but they're actually called opposite operations. Okay, it's the same thing. Opposite operations, inverse operations, they're the same thing. Okay, but you're going to hear us use the word inverse or opposite. This means the same exact thing, okay? So you need to know both. And here's the deal. Inverse operations actually undo each other. So remember, we said they're opposites and they're going to undo themselves. So what's the inverse of addition? All we're looking for is the opposite. The opposite of addition is subtraction. All right, so you need to make sure you know that one. So then what's the opposite of subtraction? Well, hopefully you got that one. It should be addition. And we're getting pretty easy. I think you got it now. What's the inverse of multiplication? Well, that one's division. And the inverse or the opposite of division is multiplication. And ladies and gentlemen, this is super important to know. And it's pretty easy, but you got to know it. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with 3 examples. Remember, we want to isolate the variable. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you skills that you need to do. Okay, I'm going to give you rules that you need to follow, and you need to make sure you're doing them every single time, even if you know the answer to the question, because they're going to get harder. Heck, actually, examples 4 through 6 are going to get harder. Here's the deal. Because we're going to get harder, and 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teachers, all of them at Goshen Middle School are going to ask you to do this. Okay, every time you're solving an equation. So because every teacher is going to ask you to do this, you need to do it right now. So watch. First thing we always do, we're going to actually go ahead and find the equal sign. When we find the equal sign, we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw a line straight through it. That's really important because what you do on one side of the equation, you must do on the other. Otherwise, you completely screw it up. Okay? So what you do on one, you must do the other. Okay? Super important. Second thing that you need to do is you need to find where the variable is. Well, the variable is on this side. So that means everything else we're going to get rid of from that side and put it on the other side. Well, how in the world are we going to do that? Well, here's the deal. Other than the variable, what's on this side? Well, there's this plus 7. So here's the deal. We talked about we isolate the variable. And how do we do that? Well, we do inverse operations. Very simply, all we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite of that plus 7 to both sides. So what's the opposite of plus 7? Or add 7. The opposite of adding is subtracting. And how much would we subtract? Well, we'd subtract 7 from both sides. If you subtract 7 from both sides, okay, 7 minus 7 is 0. So that just goes away. Your x is going to be brought right down. So is your equal sign. And on the right side, we're going to do 18 minus 7, which 18 minus 7 gives us 11. So what we're saying is x equals 11. Now, that's pretty good. That was really easy, but we should always check. Okay, so remember, we drew the line, we found the variable, okay, we got our answer, and now we are going to check it. How do we check it? Well, we actually take this x equals 11 and we put it back into the equation. So if you look up at the top, it was x plus 7 equals 18. Well, all you're going to do is put in 11 for x. So 11 plus 7 equals 18. What's 11 plus 7? Well, that's 18, and 18 equals 18. Good, we're done. So we can go ahead and put a check. We're good. We checked it. We're good. Let's move on to the next example. Okay. First thing you always do, draw your line down the equal sign. Remember, because what you do on one side, you must do the other. Next, find the variable. Look at that. It's right there on the left. It's a. Okay. All right. What do we see? Well, we're seeing minus 15. Well, what's the opposite of minus 15? Well, that is adding 15. So you're going to do the opposite, adding 15. Minus 15 plus 15, that cancels out. Okay. And we just are left with a, and a equals 22 plus 15, which gives us 37. All right, what do? Well, we double check our answer. We go ahead and put it back in the equation. 37 minus 15 equals 22, and 37 minus 15 is 22. 22 minus 22, yep, that works. We're good. A equals 37. We need to make sure we circle it, and you must have the variable equals in your answer. So it must say a equals 37. If you just write 37, you are wrong. Okay, next one. Draw our line down the equal sign. Next thing we need to do is find the variable. The variable is actually on the other side this time, so I'm going to put an arrow. Now, I'm going to keep it on the right side. We're going to move everything to the left. Hey, what do we have attached to it? Well, we have minus 17. That's the stuff we need to take to the other side. What's the opposite of minus 17? Plus 17. These things are going to cross cancel, but remember, you have to do it on both sides, right? If you add 17 to the right side, you must do it to the left side. 83 plus 17, what are we going to get? Well, we're actually going to get 100 equals y. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to double check it. Let's do 100 minus 17 equals 83. What's 100 minus 17? Well, that's 83. 83 equals 83. We are good. We checked it. 100 equals y. Congratulations, you've done your first 3. We have 3 more. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know this video might be a little bit long, but this one's going to get harder. Okay, I told you, you might have been able to do those ones in your head, but the harder ones, you can't. Draw the line. Find the variable. Okay, you notice plus 2/8. Plus 2/8 is attached to it. So what's the opposite of adding 2/8? Subtracting 2/8. So we need to go ahead and do that. We're going to subtract 2/8 from both sides. Now, this is where it gets difficult. 4 1/2 minus 2/8, what do we need to do? These two on the left side are going to cancel out. We're just going to have x equals. But on the right side, hey, look at that. We have to do subtraction of fractions. They're lined up already for us, which is cool. 4, and we have to get a common denominator. That would be 4/8 minus 2/8. 4/8 minus 2/8 is, well, 2/8. And 4 minus nothing is 4. All we need to do is make sure that we simplify our fraction, so x equals 4 1/4. And that's what our answer would be. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you can check it, and you should check it. But for sake of our video time, we're not going to do that right now. All right, moving on. Next one. What's the first thing we do? Draw your line. Second thing you do, okay, find the variable. Variable's on this side. What do we have attached to it? Minus 3 2/10. What's the opposite of that? Opposite of subtraction is adding 3 2/10. These are going to cancel out. We're going to add 3 2/10. Remember, when we do decimals and we're adding, we must line them up. And we're going to put our zeros over there to place as placeholders. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add them. The y is going to drop down. Y equals 5 plus 0 is 5, 2 plus 2 is 4, 1 plus 3 is 4, 3 plus nothing is 3. Our answer is y equals 34 45/100. Once again, you should check it. All right, go ahead and move on to the next one. First thing we do, draw our line. Second thing we do, find our variable. Our variable is z. What do? We do the opposite of minus 385, which is adding 385. We're going to add 385 to both sides. That's going to cross out. Z equals 2 plus 5 is 7, 8 plus 3 is 11, 7, 3, and 1 is 11. We have 1,117. So Z equals 1,117. Okay, we'll make sure it doesn't look like a decimal. That's our answer. Look at that. Yuck. All right, go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 minutes in, I've got to get moving. This is your independent practice. Pause the video. Go ahead, pause it. Do the 6 on your own on your graphic organizer. When you're done, replay the video. We'll check them. Go ahead now. All right, I'm back. Let's see it. I'm going to just do it real quick. Just follow with me. All right, draw my line. Variables on this side. Opposite of -3 plus 3 plus 3. You should have C equals 9. You should have checked it. C equals 9. Next one. Draw my line. All right, here we go. Variable is here. -8 from both sides. X equals 10. Congratulations. 10 plus 8 does equal 18. Good job. Next one. Draw my line. Variable right here. Opposite of -5. Add 5. Add 5 to both sides. You're going to get 9. Y equals 9. Congratulations, we're done. Alright, moving on. This time we have 6 plus Z. We're going to go ahead and draw my line. 6 plus Z. Alright, now we're adding Z. That's the same thing. This is the same thing as Z plus 6. So we have to remember that. Z plus 6, what's the opposite of adding 6? Well, subtracting 6. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay, we're going to get Z equals 10 minus 6 is 4. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. I know my Z's kind of look like 2's. Sorry. Moving on. Draw my line. Okay, you should have found the variable P. What's added? Add 5. Add 5 to both sides. You should have got P equals 20. Ladies and gentlemen, check it. Put it back in the equation. Last one. Alright, oops. Here we go. Draw my line. Find my variable. It's M. We're adding 4. What's the opposite of adding 4? Subtracting 4 from both sides. 12 minus 4 is 8. 4 minus 4 is nothing. It just crosses out. The M drops down. We get M equals 8. Ladies and gentlemen, you have solved your first 6 equations. Hopefully you got all of them correct. Alright, this is the end of your video. You need to do these 3 questions on your own as your exit ticket. When you are finished with them, I actually want you to show them to Mr. Williams. I literally want you to show him because he will not accept it if you don't draw your line, show your variable, check your work. Everybody got it? On that note, sorry this video is 12 minutes, but this one's really important. I'm out.